The check is $9,200. It arrives 12 days after your last day at the company, forwarded to the apartment you are already mostly moved out of, in an envelope with the plan administrator's logo in the corner. You hold it for a moment. Then you deposit it, because you are between jobs. Because the new one starts in 3 weeks. Because the security deposit on the new place took more than you expected. And because $9,200 is $9,200, and the retirement account it came from belonged to a job you no longer have, and a version of your life that is already behind you. You are 29. You do not think of this as a decision with a 30-year tail. You think of it as a practical solution to a present problem. The present problem is real. The solution is also real. The tail is the part nobody shows you when you fill out the distribution form and check the box that says cash out rather than rollover. The tail is $213,000. That is the approximate value of the $9,200, left untouched and compounding at 7% annually until you are 65. You will not know this number for a long time. When you finally calculate it, you will sit very still for a moment and then close the laptop because the number belongs to a decision that cannot be undone. How it happens the first time. The job was fine and then wasn't. A new manager, a restructuring, the specific atmosphere of a workplace that has changed in ways that make staying feel like a daily argument with yourself. You find something better. You give notice. You feel, leaving, the lightness of a correct decision, which it is, in every dimension, except one. The 401k has $9,200 in it. You have had the job for 2 years and contributed minimally because the budget was tight and the match was modest, and retirement at 29 felt like a geological concept rather than an approaching calendar date. The rollover option exists. The paperwork is real and findable and would take 45 minutes and would preserve the $9,200 and its future value entirely. The 45 minutes don't happen. The gap between jobs creates a cash need. The cash need creates a justification. The justification is applied once, and the $9,200 is spent, and the future value evaporates in the specific way that future value always evaporates, silently, without a transaction you can point to, without a moment of visible loss. The 10% early withdrawal penalty takes $920. The income taxes at your bracket take $1,840. You receive $6,440. You spent $9,200 to receive $6,440 and surrendered $213,000 to do it. This is the math you did not do in the 12 days between receiving the envelope and depositing the check. The second time, you are 33. The balance is $18,400. 4 years at a company that was good to you and taught you things, and eventually plateaued in a way that made leaving the obvious next step. The new role pays $14,000 more. The decision to leave is correct. The decision about the 401k is the same decision you made at 29, slightly better justified because the balance is larger and the cash need is slightly more real. You are moving cities. The overlap in rent, the moving truck, the setup costs. $18,400 has a gravitational pull when you are standing in the middle of a cross-country move and the credit card balance has grown in the week of logistics. The rollover paperwork is available. The 45 minutes exist. The money goes into your checking account instead. Penalty, $1,840. Taxes, $3,680. You receive $12,880. You surrendered $18,400 plus its future value, which at 7% over 32 remaining years would have been $188,000. The two cash outs together represent $401,000 in future value, converted into $19,320 in present spending. You do not experience this as a $401,000 loss. You experience it as two transitions managed, two practical problems solved, two chapters closed cleanly. The accounting only becomes visible when you look at it from the far end. Year 14. You are 43. You have changed jobs 4 times since 29. The pattern has held at each transition with minor variations. One rollover, partial, at 37, when the balance was large enough to feel genuinely dangerous to cash out, and 3 cash outs at the transitions where the balance was smaller and the need was more immediate. The total amount distributed across the 4 cash outs, $61,400 before penalties and taxes. The total you received after penalties and taxes, $41,752. The total future value surrendered, calculated at 7% from each distribution date to age 65, $847,000. Your current 401k balance is $94,000. This is the account you have been building at your current company for 6 years without interruption. With increasing contributions, with the specific seriousness of someone who has begun to understand what the earlier decisions cost. The $94,000 is real and growing. It does not undo $847,000 in surrendered compounding. It begins instead the process of building something on the far side of the decisions that cannot be reversed. What made it feel reasonable each time? The balance was small enough to feel theoretical. This is the first mechanism. $9,200 at 29 is not a retirement account in any visceral sense. It is a modest savings balance attached to a job you no longer have. The connection between that balance and a funded retirement is real in the math and not real in the feeling. And feelings are what drive decisions in the 12 days between receiving an envelope and needing the money for something present and specific. The new job was starting. The future earning potential made the current loss feel recoverable. This is the second mechanism. High earners consistently overestimate their ability to recover lost compounding through future contributions. You cannot contribute your way back to the growth that started at 29 and ran for 36 years. The $9,200 at 29 is not replaceable with $9,200 at 43. The years of compounding between those two dates are not retrievable at any contribution level. The penalty and taxes felt like the cost of the decision. This is the third and most expensive mechanism. The 10% penalty and the income tax feel like the full price of cashing out. They are the visible cost of a transaction whose invisible cost is 20 times larger. Paying $2,760 in penalties and taxes to receive $6,440 feels like a bad deal. It is a $213,000 deal, dressed as a $2,760 deal. And the difference only becomes visible at a distance you cannot yet see from. The rollover that should have happened. 45 minutes. A phone call to the plan administrator, a form, a direct transfer to an IRA, or a new employer's plan. No taxes, no penalty, no interruption in compounding. The money moves as money. It arrives at the new account as the same number it left, plus whatever it earned in transit. The 45 minutes were always available. They did not happen because the 45 minutes required treating the balance as untouchable, and untouchable requires believing in the future version of yourself who will need it. And that version of yourself at 29 and 33 and 36 was a concept rather than a person you could fully imagine inhabiting. You inhabit it now. At 43, the future version is close enough to see. You can see the retirement math. You can see the gap between the 401k you have and the one you would have had. You can see, with the specific clarity of someone who has done the arithmetic and cannot argue with it, exactly what the envelope cost. What happens at the next transition? The rollover takes 43 minutes. You time it. Not because the timing matters, but because you told yourself it would take 45, and you want to know you were right about the only part of this you can still be right about. The balance moves intact. The compounding continues uninterrupted. The future value is preserved in the way it was available to be preserved every other time, and wasn't. You do not feel virtuous. You feel like someone who finally did the obvious thing and is measuring the distance between now and every earlier time it was also the obvious thing and wasn't done. The distance is $847,000. It is not recoverable. It is also not the final number, because the rollover happened, because the account is intact, because the compounding that starts today runs forward from today, and the years ahead are still years. They are not 29, they are the years you have. You are using them differently now. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one.